Hello, everybody. I haven't done this for a while, but I am doing this because this is a good Joe, and I'm delighted to be here to support Joe Sestak, and I'm glad you are too. Let me just tell you a couple things. One, I respect this man because he has the courage of his convictions. The courage of his convictions. You know, he's not a Democrat because it's convenient. He's not a Democrat out of political calculation. He's a Democrat in his heart. We share the same principles. You know where Joe Sestak's going to be on health care reform. You know where he's going to be on energy independence. You know where he's going to be on global warming. You know where he's going to be on an economic recovery plan that leaves no people behind. It helps not just the rich, but all Americans. And that's why you want Joe Sestak, a guy you know where he's going to stand. I'm also here for Joe because he's got the courage to stand up to the political establishment. I've been there. I know the phone calls are coming. I know there are a lot of folks in the political status quo that don't like primaries, don't like these challenges. Well, I disagree. I think it's these primaries, I think it's these challenges that energize democracy. It give people a choice. They get people out and active and involved. And Joe Sestak, he's not buckling under the political establishment. You know he's going to be there for you. You know he's going to stand up for you. You know he's a fighter. And he's going to be there for Pennsylvania. Right. And I just took the Excella down and got a little tour of Independence Hall and looked at the Liberty Bell, and I was just thinking as I was walking around there, Joe, that, you know, the Founding Fathers, when they thought about what type of political leaders they wanted, when they thought about what type of a legislator, what type of Continental Congress they wanted right here at Independence Hall, I'm not sure that they wanted career politicians. I'm not sure they wanted a political class telling us what to do. I think they liked the idea of a citizen legislature. I think they liked the idea of having a legislature. Back then it was soldiers and farmers and small business people. And today I think what they'd like is Joe Sestak. He's a man who he's devoted his life to public service, a family, Navy family, devoted his life in the military for 30 years, and now he's devoting his life to the people of Pennsylvania. I think when he comes to the halls of Congress, you know, when he sits there as a Navy man, a man who has served, and he's there in the Armed Services Committee, when he's there in the Senate Armed Services Committee, and we're talking about questions of war and peace, well, we're talking about Afghanistan, we're talking about Pakistan and Iran. When Joe Sestak talks, all those folks who have devoted their entire lives as legislators and attorney generals and prosecutors and now senators, they're going to listen to a man who's had a real life experience. I think that's what our Founding Fathers wanted. I think it makes our Congress stronger. I think it means that you'll have a strong representative, a voice for working people in the U.S. Senate. I am so pleased to introduce to you Joe Sestak.
Couldn't be happier. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And first, thanks for everybody for being here today. I went back and I read Ned Lamont's first interview after he said he was going to run against the establishment. And someone asked him, why are you a Democrat? He said, I'm a Democrat because I believe power belongs with the people. And that's the exact reason I'm running. But first to you, Ned. I got this email in. We were sending out emails to everybody. If we had found an email, we just wrote it down and sent it. And somehow we found the name of Ned Lamont, and we just added him to our database and sent out. And all of a sudden we got this email back. It said, Joe, I'd love to support you. Let's talk. I've had the experience of running against the establishment, and it's something to be done. We called, we spoke on the phone. He's a hero. Think about it. He's a hero because, number one, he honestly knew that war in Iraq was a tragic misadventure. And he didn't accept that those who were in the establishment supported it. But he didn't just talk about it. He got into the arena and ran to fight for principle. Second, what did he bring to the arena? He brought a different perspective. It wasn't one that had 30 years down in Washington, D.C. It was one that had actually, on their own, individualism, but an acknowledgement of the common good from business that got in and brought, or should have brought, to Washington, D.C. a different perspective in order to advance the principles that we all believe in. In short, I'm honored today to be endorsed by Ned Lamont a man that does put principle over politics. To Ned Lamont. I'm running, first and foremost, for people. I went through the 6-7 counties in this state, and 2/3 of the way through, I stopped. And I came back to the staff and gathered them all around. I had met for the second time a man who I said, "How's the recession going?" He said to me, "Not too bad." It was already very bad before the recession began. People are hurting. And through no fault of their own, who placed them in the savage recession? Wall Street. And then you sit there and you say, why has Washington, D.C. forgotten that its focus should be on the engine of our economy, the middle class, the working family, rather than those who benefit off of our economy? Yes, those that unduly enrich themselves. Up there with the derivative training where there was no referee on the football field on Wall Street. In short, I got in this race, having done those 67 county tours, where he said power belongs in the people. For too long, it has been absent from the people. I strongly believe that principle does have to triumph over politics. People have to be in this for the courage of their conviction, not convenience, and that the jobs they should worry about are not their own in Washington, D.C. It's the jobs of those who have actually driven this country forward. I had 30 decades, marvelous decades in the United States military. And if you can't be in the Navy, this is the next best job. I loved those sailors, and everything I learned was if you invested in your sailors, they took care of the mission. I tell everybody that every sailor is a Democrat. They just didn't realize it. They all had health care. 11 to 11 and a half months of a war. My daughter, my wife were covered in health care, health security. Then think about it. Education. You've heard Barack Obama talk about it. 4.5 million youth won't go to college by 2022 unless we change the affordability of it. We cannot invest enough in knowledge. In the U.S. Navy, when I had command of that carrier battle group, you could not be promoted to a senior chief petty officer unless you'd earned an associate's college degree on your time, our money, in a technology because we wanted you educated. And then economic security, whether it's a pension or whether it's the opportunity to come in and learn a trade and be all you can be. Sounds like a Democrat? Sounds like America. National security that begins here at home. I respect my opponent for his 30 years in public service, but frankly, I disagree. 2,000 votes for President Bush, 4 out of 5 times. For tax cuts that gave 53% of those tax cuts to the top 1% of American wage earners, the millionaires. Where he voted to weaken the Clean Air Act, and where he voted for the largest increase in the history of America in education funding. The next 30 years are so unlike the last 30 years. There's a new set of ideas and a new set of energy that has to be applied, but more than anything else, somehow we must restore, in Washington, D.C., accountable leadership where you're in it for others, not yourself. I am proud today. I'm proud today to be standing here with Ned Lamont. I consider his race a model of courage, a model of standing for what you believe, and a model that attracted others to his candidacy. This is the only nation in the world that up until its time had been founded on principle, not power. It was a nation that's ever since that day has striven to achieve that perfect union, the embodiment of the vision that our forefathers had. It is actually a model, our nation, of the progressive movement. Think about it. Freedom, suffrage, civil rights, equality. Everywhere I went in this world, in those 3 decades plus, I found that we were respected for the power of our military, respected for the power of our economy. We were admired for the power of our ideals. We must restore those ideals, starting with those issues of education security, health security, economic security, but more, the world. From Afghanistan and how we lead this world as one international coalition. But more than anything else, I promise you, not only to be the most hardworking, the most energetic, the most committed, the most honest senator you will ever have. I promise you 2 other things. I promise to lead on issues, to listen first to you, but to let you know where I stand on every issue so you understand what I am trying to do. And second, I promise you, more than any of all I've said, to help restore the credibility, the trust of you citizens in the public offices and those individuals who hold those public offices in Washington, D.C. Thank you so much for being here.